I'm Tony Fernandez, and I'll be speaking naturally on the landing of the British in St. Bernard. The background map here is a United States Naval Navigation map dated 1817. It's rather muted here, and I apologize for that. But I want to begin to point out the relevant locations referred to in previous talks as well. Right here, this is Cat Island and then Ship Island, and the anchorage of the British fleet was here. Here we have Lake Bond. The Battle of Lake Bond took place right in this general vicinity. Pea Island, which is an important location in the landing of the British, is here, and Bayou Avenue is here. British troops will move from their ships to Pea Island, which was midway to New Orleans, as I showed you on that map. British naval captain Robert Spencer encountered fishermen around Pea Island. The head fisherman, named Farrar, advised that they lived on a village on Bayou Avenue. He brought Spencer to this village and then to the Villere plantation in Mississippi River. They were also accompanied by Quartermaster Captain John Peedy of the British Army. The trip was very successful, and Farrar was paid $100 and hired as lake pilot at $2 a day beginning December 16th. This included the use of Farrar's huts and his boats at the fisherman village. Captain Spencer, shown here, also employed an additional 13 fishermen working with Farrar and also living on Bayou Avenue. They were paid $1 a day. The British now have control of the entire water system, backwater system, all the way from the rear of Villere's home all the way to Lake Bond. Now, this is a copy of the battle map that Peedy assembled later during the battle. Some interesting points on his map are this. He points out that this is the landing site of the British. And you note that it's at the end of Villere Canal, and that he has the notation, the troops landed here, okay? The name of the bayou leading to Villere Canal is referred to by the British as Bayou Catalan. And the reason for that designation, and it's only in the British maps that you'll find that name, because we refer to that waterway today as Bayou Maisant. But the reason they gave that name to the bayou, the British, was that that was Farrar's ancestry name. He was from Catalan. Now, Peedy also shows us where Farrar lived. There were 8 huts at the end of Bayou Avenue. Farrar owned 2, if not 3 of those huts, and 5 other fishermen lived there with him. Further up Bayou Avenue were 8 other fishermen, all of which were employed by Captain Spencer. So now we have a situation as early as the 16th of December, where the British have total control of the waterways in Bayou Avenue, as well as Villere Canal, have complete intelligence, virtually real-time intelligence, over all activity in those waterways. Now, all of that activity, and we'll see, includes knowledge of felling of trees and also posting sentries by the Americans at the end of Bayou Avenue or at the fishermen's huts. This was an extraordinary thing because neither Jackson nor any of the Villeres nor any of the militiamen knew anything about this control. And in fact, the British, but for an act of God in clement weather, could have had their actual landing as early as the 18th or 19th with a severe cold weather system, which began on the 17th and really hit on the 18th, prohibited the British from coming in any earlier than they did on the 22nd and 23rd. Then it's also amazing that even after the battle, that very little information about these fishermen and their early signing on with the British was ever known. Okay? Ever known. So it is the source, in a sense, of a lot of misunderstanding about the landing. Now, on the 21st, we fast forwarding from the 16th. Major Gabriel Villere, the son of General Jacques Villere, was commanding officer of the 3rd Louisiana Militia, composed of men from St. Bernard and Plaquemine, including the Isleño settlers. The regiment was headquartered on the plantation. In the morning of the 21st, he ordered a work crew to cut down trees to halt passage of the British along the canal. That's here. Later in the day, he ordered 11 of the militiamen to the fishermen's village on Lake Bourne, back here, to act as lookouts. He supplied the militia with a boat and firearms. As the militiamen passed along Villere Canal, they saw the work crew cutting the trees. And some of the trees already had fallen, and some of them had fallen over the canal. Now, the militiamen later testified under oath that they saw these things happen. Okay? Under oath. 22nd. In the morning, a group of fishermen, undoubtedly some of the ones that were employed by the British, came in to the grounds around Villere Plantation. They go to see the Spanish Isleño militiamen, and they tell them this: look, the British have landed at Pea Island. They have brought 20,000 troops, and they have come here to liberate this land and give it back to the Spanish people. The militiamen's response? They laughed. Why'd they laugh? They didn't know the fishermen personally. They didn't know of any landing, and they all thought the whole thing was far-fetched. The fishermen leave, probably to go to the city to gain some intelligence. Later that same evening, they return. And when they return, the Isleño militiamen arrest them. Arrest them. The leader, it's not Farrar, but the leader of that group was sent to Major Gabriel Villere. Villere interrogates the lead fisherman extensively. And then he has the testimony transcribed and sends this transcription to Andrew Jackson. Okay? Night of the 22nd. Jackson reads over all of it and sends a return dispatch to Gabriel Villere saying, we know they've landed, and let the matter drop. But let's refocus on this for a minute. An actual spy who was suspected of being a spy, arrested by the Isleño militiamen, interrogated by Major Villere extensively, and that sent to General Jackson. They did all they could. Now, because Jackson didn't follow up on this, didn't say word back to Villere, look, hold him in chains, I want to see him. Does that mean that Jackson was in league with the British? No. This was the problem. What you know and what I'm telling you here today about how extensive this hiring of these fishermen at such an early date. That not being known by any of these people, they presumed that the fishermen didn't know what they were talking about, okay? When in fact, they had a spy in their hands. Okay, same day, December 22nd, 2 o'clock. The British troops with Farrar and the other fishermen pilots sailed to Bayou Bienvenue from Pea Island. They reached the bayou and the fishermen's huts at midnight and captured the militia. Who could be surprised? Only the militia. They went there knowing the militia was stationed there. They had probably muffled oars, and they speeded into the bayou, not looking to continue straight ahead, but looking for where the militiamen were. They quickly captured them, okay? Very quickly. They knew they were there. It was all pre-planned. And then the British and their 5 barges, 50 men each on the barge, this is the advance, moved straight up Bayou Bienvenue to Bayou Catalan and make the landing where PD tells us they did. He says, look, the troops landed at that intersection. And what did they do? The boats did not go up Villere Canal. They got out and they marched in. When they marched in, Major Villere escapes. He joins Jackson's attack on the British later that day on that same plantation. He fights valiantly throughout the campaign, including that night. And that's what Jackson wrote in his reports. All right? Like I told Pierre, what more could he have done? He's a hero. Anything to the contrary is just fake news. Okay, after the major battle on January 8th, Gabriel is court-martialed, and the grounds of which, due to the events surrounding the British landing on their plantation, he's found on the trial date, March 15th, not guilty. Not guilty of everything. The testimony reveals that neither Major Villere nor the Isleño militiamen knew or had any prior contacts with these fishermen. Okay? Now, just so you don't have to take my word for it, because some of these facts are not well disseminated. And in fact, this document here, a copy of it, is the actual testimony of the witnesses at Gabriel Villere's trial. And you know the old adage, the truth will set you free? Here it is. And it may be the only copy not in the archives of the United States. And this is for the Villere family. In honor of the heroics that the Villere family showed in this battle and in all events in our country's history. Thank you all.